When we watch an elite executive smoothly navigate a hostile Q&A, it looks like spontaneous brilliance. We assume they are inventing responses in real time, nuanced strategy under the glare of a boardroom. True professional authority requires a different mechanism. It treats communication as a system of modular data retrieval. What audiences perceive as thinking on your feet is actually the execution of a preloaded mental architecture. In high-pressure environments like boardrooms or media interviews, available cognitive bandwidth drops significantly. Stress redirects brain resources towards survival mechanisms. This triggers implicit memory and degrades the ability to articulate complex, abstract thoughts. To successfully bypass this biological bottleneck, we use memory reconsolidation. This process replaces chaotic survival responses with trained spatial retrieval. Compare these states. On the left, an improvising brain drains resources through scrambled pathways. On the right, an organized grid allows mechanical selection of a clean node, letting the speaker scan pre-assembled ideas instead of inventing them under duress. Spatial organization enables the speaker to rotate through these preloaded ideas and recombine them to fit the specific question being asked. Elite communicators bypass the overwhelmed parts of the brain by retrieving these pre-built structures rather than attempting to think faster. We organize this grid through a framework called the Executive Vault. The vault functions as a spatially organized repository of modular speech assets designed for professional interactions. Technical competence only translates to communicative authority when it is extracted and sorted into these accessible folders. Building this architecture in advance provides consistency and control when the stakes are highest. The first operational folder contains the identity pitch. This module functions as a relationship opening mechanism designed to establish immediate authority before the substantive conversation begins. We built this using the SHORE framework to break professional identity into specific modular components. First, you state the precise problem you solve. Next, you define the exact parameters of the niche that experiences this problem. Finally, you highlight the transformative outcome provided to that specific audience. This structure forces brevity. It allows the identity module to scale from a 30-second introduction to a high-level briefing without losing focus. Preloading these variables eliminates the hesitation that leads to rambling, instantly establishing executive boundaries. The second folder in the vault is the proof module. High-level stakeholders require structured empirical validation to accept claims of expertise. We format this evidence using the STAR-L narrative architecture. This begins by defining the situation and the task. You establish the context and identify the critical operational challenge. The action phase details the specific strategic intervention, focusing on the deductive reasoning you used. You then provide the result, quantifying the outcome with hard data and metrics to remove ambiguity. Finally, you share the learnings. This demonstrates reflective capability and proves you can derive systemic improvements from past challenges. Converting raw experiences into rehearsed STAR-L modules neutralizes the risk of cognitive processing errors under pressure. This process transforms past experiences into targeted, deployable tools of persuasion. The final operational folder holds boundary scripts. Professional communication requires the ability to de-escalate tension and refuse tasks without losing political capital. We use the Recognize, Respond, Refer framework to manage these unpredictable interactions. In a priority pivot, the script acts as a structural shield. You begin by validating the hostile input, absorbing its momentum before deploying a refusal. Once neutralized, the conversation is routed towards an advantageous, pre-planned topic. These scripts protect cognitive bandwidth, preventing emotional hijacking and maintaining executive control. Consider a sudden, hostile boardroom question. At the exact point of impact, the speaker has only milliseconds to respond. Deconstructing the response reveals pre-built mental assets operating beneath the surface. The executive retrieves a boundary pivot to stabilize the attack, followed immediately by a STAR-LAR module to provide empirical proof. The audience witnesses what they believe is rapid intelligence. The speaker, however, is simply performing spatial data retrieval. Spontaneous brilliance is the visible tip of an enormous iceberg of preparation. Integrating identity, proof, and boundaries into the executive vault secures your communication architecture. This rigorous architecture provides a reliable fallback, shifting your dependency away from the volatility of spontaneous inspiration. It transitions the speaker's voice from an unpredictable liability into a scalable, reliable system. When it is treated with true architectural rigor, your voice functions as a highly leveraged, actively managed asset class.